Well, um, for a guy of my generation, Central High School, the integration of Central High School in 1957
Hmm.
was a big seminal event
It was.
in my life. Even though I was not one of the Little Rock Nine, I was maybe first grade student at that time, that
Hmm.
the age of a first grade student. But subsequently, when I was old enough for junior high, was what we called it back then, which was seventh, eighth, and ninth grade, I volunteered to integrate a school, just as the Little Rock Nine kids had done. And I went through that whole integration process, being one of six black seventh graders to enter the school and and go through the desegregation process, which
Hmm.
was, a lot of strife and a lot of resistance. And I can remember talking my parents into letting me go to the school because they would pick certain students and ask them to participate in this program to desegregate was the word they would use the schools. And my parents didn't want me to do it. And I can remember at that time I'm following King and
Hmm.
Snick and Malcolm, and I'm listening to all of this progress that people are fighting for, and I wanted to be a part of it. And so here I was, maybe like 12 years old, talking to my mom and dad, saying, "No, no, no! They asked me to do this, and I think you should let me go. We have to show these people we're just as good as they are, and
Right.
we got to do this and got to do that." And they would say things like, "Well, what about you're leaving your friends, and there's more to life than just school. You got to have the social thing, and you know." And I went for it, and it became a big part of my life. Going through that process. You know, so it was a big responsibility for a 12-year-old kid to
Yeah,
take
for you to
on.
have that level of that presence of mind at 12 to want to
Yeah,
do. Now,
yeah.
were you aware of the history of Central High at that time?
Hmm.
Okay.
Because I experienced it. My elementary school was a few blocks from the Central High School.
Hmm.
And to go home from my elementary school, I had to walk west of my school, uh, past a white neighborhood, across the train tracks, into the black neighborhood that I came from.
Hmm.
So after school, the area between the train tracks and my elementary school were infested with protesters of the Central High School integration. Even when I was in the first grade, it started in '57, but
Right.
the violence associated with it lasted for years
That
to
was
the
my next
point.
question. And so it went on because that's what my question was in terms of. So it went on
Uh,
beyond 57, which is when it happened, but then
yeah,
into
yeah,
your time.
yeah. Into my time, it was still bleeding over into my
Right.
time to the point that I had to go to my dad and say, "Look, it's not safe for us to walk home after school because of the violence in the streets." So what happened was there were carpools. If you lived on the west side of the school, which
Hmm.
was in the neighborhood of Central High, we were picked up by parents who had time to pick up the kids who lived on that side of town.
Right.
So we didn't have to walk through it,
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Wow.
So all of that stuff, all of that vitriol, was something that uh, we as kids were absorbing at a very young age. You
Indeed.
know,
Indeed.
so
Indeed.
yeah, that was my childhood. That was
So,
my childhood, and it kind of it took its toll. But that was my beginnings. My beginnings in the civil rights movement, and I think even in elementary school, being from the neighborhood I was from, and witnessing and experiencing the racial violence and segregation, I think it had a lot to do with making me, who I am today, whoever that it may be.